As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Live as if you were to die tomorrow, and learn as if you were to live forever. And with this admonition quote from the revered sage, Mahatma Gandhi, I welcome you specially to another episode of ICAN on Air, a great platform for learning, powered by our Noble Institute, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. I'm your host for today, Tosin Akinwumi. And as you all know, this is the last episode in the month of August 2023. Please inform your friends and colleagues that the show has started, and you can be part of this show, ICAN on Air, on all ICAN social media handles, the Facebook page, Instagram handle, and ICAN YouTube channel. And today, Thursday, the 31st day in the month of August, we shall be considering another topic, emerging issues in professional practice. And I have here with me a distinguished professional, an erudite practitioner, a member of the Governing Council of ICAN, in person of Mr. Jude Sonny Hegbo, FCA MNI, who shall be providing insight on this chosen topic. Tell your friends, start coming in and sending in your questions, because Mr. Jude is on ground to provide responses to your questions. I'll quickly go on the commercial break, and when I'm back, I'll be back with my guest for today, and we shall be discussing the topic for today. Don't go away. Stay tuned. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. And like I did promise, I have my guest in the house, Mr. Jude Sonny Hegbo, MNI FCA. I'm a powerful boss. You're welcome to the show, sir. You are muted. You are muted, boss. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Tosin. It's my pleasure to be on your show. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you around today, sir. And quickly, let me take the brief profile of Mr. Jude Sonny Hegbo, MNI FCA. Mr. Jude Sonny Hegbo, FCA, is a resourceful chartered accountant in practice. He's a brilliant and vibrant fellow of our great institute. JSA, as is fondly called by his family, friends, and fans, is the managing partner of Hegbo J & Co. Chartered Accountants, a dynamic firm of chartered accountants with headquarters in Enugu. He's also the managing consultant at CMCT Consulting Limited. He has garnered vast specialist knowledge and experience in auditing, accounting, taxation, and consulting in a professional practice career spanning almost 20 years, and has led or participated in numerous top-tier audit assurance, forensic, and tax engagement across the nation, all with excellent results. JSA is a selfless, independent-minded, courageous, yet very humble leader who derives immense joy and satisfaction from serving our renowned institute, our nation, and humanity in general. His leadership journey in ICAN began at Enugu and Society, where he served with distinction as a PRO between 2012 and 2013, and later as the vice chairman of the same district. He concurrently served as the chairman of the district and held his stand zonal district of ICAN. By the grace of God and God's will of ICAN members, JSC was elected to ICAN Governing Council in 2017 and graciously re-elected in 2020 and 2023. His membership of ICAN Council has enabled him to successfully push for increased delegation to these societies and prioritization of member-centric policies. He currently serves as the chairman of the Regional Practice Committee and the newly established Communication and Public Relations Committee. In addition to membership of many ad hoc and standing committees of the Institute, he sat on the board of the Enugu State Internal Revenue Service between 2016 and May 2013. He is a distinguished member of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies in Kuru and a patron of Enugu and this society and the Eastern Zonal District. He has a very loving family, and his hobbies include music, watching sports, current affairs, and traveling. Distinguished colleagues, and that is the brief profile of our guest on the show today. Once again, sir, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you very much, Tosin. It's my pleasure to be here. And I also join you in welcoming the audience, our distinguished audience from all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And today, like we did say,
thank you.
Thank you from me. And today, like we did say, the topic before us today is emerging issues in professional practice. Of course, many ICAN members are in professional practice, and I'm sure they are glued to the screen now to exactly see what will come out of this. They want to learn. They are ready to get what are those emerging issues that is to be mentioned and to be shared, especially by the chairman of that committee in person of Mr. Jude Sonny Hegbo, MNI FCA. So let's start this way. And I also implore our guests on the show, to our fans rather, and audience, to be sending in their questions, because Mr. Jude is on seat to avail responses to those questions. So let's kick off this way, sir. Professional integrity sounds simple, but it's not easy to attain or achieve because a lot of hard work and diligence is required. And as professionals, having you on the guest today will give our global viewers the opportunity to learn and share from your depth of knowledge, skills, and experience. Sir, what is professionalism? And who can we say qualifies to be called a professional?
Okay, thank you very much, Tosin. I once again appreciate the good job you're doing for our institute, together with the entire ICAN on Air team. In a nutshell, professionalism is expertise. To the lay people on the street, professionalism entails expertise, meaning that to become a professional, one must have undergone some level of training by a recognized organization or institute like ICAN, based on some set standards which will qualify that person to be to answer that appellage professional. It is different from coming out from the street to do any job or to function in any capacity. For you to hold yourself out as a professional means that you've gone through a regulated training by a licensed or recognized organization or institute, and you can now hold yourself out as duly qualified to practice that profession. For instance, ICAN accountancy is a profession, and for you to answer a professional in Nigeria, you must belong to the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria or the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria. Fortunately, we belong to ICAN, and that training we received as chartered accountants, made us confident to hold ourselves out as duly trained and qualified to serve the public as accounting professionals.
Thank you very much, sir. It's such a pleasure to have you here. So, in order to appreciate today's discourse, because we have global audience, we'll be happy to keep following you into the classroom, because I see this as a classroom. You are in charge of the departments in which this topic is quite relevant. So what is professional practice all about, in your opinion? And using practical examples, sir, can you run us through the key element of the professional practice itself, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. In the Institute, the Council of the Institute governs every activities of ICAN, but the Council functions through committees. Okay, so the committee that I have the privilege of leading is the Professional Practice Committee. And our activities cover essentially everything that has to do with regulation of practice attachment. Practice attachment is the modern name for articleship. When members want to train to become chartered accountants, they are expected to acquire some level of training that distinguishes them as professionals. So in the Professional Practice Committee, our job includes regulating advising the institute, the council of the institute, on the level of training those members should undergo to be qualified to acquire the practice license of the institute. At the Professional Practice Committee level 2, we also license fresh practitioners. When you've gone through your period of training, presently 36 months, it used to be 30 months, but because the International Accounting Education Standards Board keeps improving the process, and ICAN, by membership of its membership of IFAC, also aligns with all those international standards. It's presently 36 months. So when you've done your 36 months of training in an ICAN recognized firm, we call it ICAN registered firm, when you've done those 36 months, you are now qualified to approach the institute to apply for your own practice license in your own name. Okay, so at Professional Practice Committee level, it is our job to assess your level of competence, to assess your experience, to really check and advise the council or make recommendations to the council as to your qualification for that license or not. Some people will train for 36 months and go for that assessment of experience, and some majority will pass, some will not pass, some will be returned for additional 36 months of training. So it's the Professional Practice Committee that does that work for the Council of the Institute. Also, the Professional Practice Committee does the practice monitoring and review of firms and members in practice. There are two levels of review. One is the review of members in practice, people like myself, that is in practice in my own name. And then there is the firm level review, the firm of chartered accountants, where you may have a partner or 10 partners or 20 partners, as the case may be. The Professional Practice Committee monitors the the work those firms do and advises the council on whether to renew their licenses or to cancel those licenses. We've had instances where members were reviewed, their firms were reviewed, and we found them wanting and advised the council accordingly, and the council took its decision. It's also the work of the Professional Practice Committee to, monitor and supervise merger and acquisition of firms and other sundry services like change of names of firms. We have the guidelines, the requirements, all the processes you pass through to ensure that your name does not conflict with the name of any other member in practice. Once you've met all the established guidelines, the committee will now make recommendation to the Council of the Institute, either to approve such names, or the committee will write to the applicants to advise them on the corrections to make for the applications to be successful. So those are basically what we do at the Professional Practice Committee level of the Institute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my distinguished, for highlighting those scope of work that your committee work on. And of course, we can say that it's a great work the committee is actually doing. And now the theme for today, or the topic for today, is emerging issues in professional practice. So I will go straight into that. So if I may ask, sir, what are some of the emerging issues in professional practice? Can you share some development in this regard, sir?
Thank you very much, my brother. That's why we're here, to share, our insights, and by so doing, keep our members, abreast of developments globally, nationally, and even institute-wide. So I would like to take the emerging issues, in three parts. Number one are the global developments that our members need to be aware of. For instance, you have at the global level the adoption of the International Standards on Quality Management 1. Last year, the global accounting profession switched over from International Standards on Quality Control 1 to International Standards on Quality Management 1, December 15 precisely. So it's still very topical, it's still very relevant, and it's current and significant. It affects all members in practice, not just in Nigeria, but globally. That is one of the topmost, current issues. Another one is the review of the International Standards on Accounting, number 220, okay, which has, enhanced the responsibilities of auditors, to ensure that auditors play to their highest strength in serving the public. Our profession is relied on by humanity, to render opinion on and to provide assurance on the level of reliability of financial statements. So that International Standards on Auditing 220 was revised to, enhance the responsibilities of auditors. It's a global trend, and it's still very current and relevant. Another one is the revised changes to the International Standards on Auditing 240, which addresses the concerns of auditors, or addresses the concerns of financial statement users about the auditors doing enough to, detect fraud. Okay, when we were training, we were told that auditors are not watchdogs, we are not, bloodhounds. It's not our responsibility to detect fraud and things like that. But the current dynamics in the profession, okay, has clearly, pushed some responsibilities to auditors, members in practice globally, to say that you have additional responsibilities towards the detection of fraud, and to give additional assurance to users of financial statements that those financial statements are reasonably free from fraud and other irregularities. Coming to the national level, there are a whole lot of issues that are very current and relevant. Number one of them is the Financial Reporting Council Amendment Act of 2023. Just this year, that act was signed last month. The act has empowered the Financial Reporting Council to do a whole lot of things which it could only dream of before the Amendment Act came on board. And every member in practice should be aware of that. Every member in practice should be aware of that development. The powers of the Financial Reporting Council, which coincidentally was given birth to and nurtured for a very long time by our institute, has been enhanced, to the extent that the Financial Reporting Council can no longer just back, but can bite significantly. So it's in the interest of all practitioners to get a copy of that Amendment Act, study it, and align accordingly. Also, just recently, in the first week of July, the Institute signed a delegation agreement with the Financial Reporting Council. We've been on it for a while, trying to iron out all the gray areas and agree on responsibilities of the two parties. But that agreement was signed last month. That delegation agreement empowers the Institute, to function on behalf of the Financial Reporting Council, especially with regards to monitoring and reviewing the work of our members. So sometime about 2 weeks ago or so, there was this rumor about the Institute and its firms registered by ICAN and licensed by ICAN being reviewed or monitored by our sister professional body. That is not the case, and it's not true. We signed that delegation agreement even before our sister professional body to give our members the comfort that it's your institute that will come to review your activities. It's your institute that will come to review even you as a member in practice. It's an emerging issue that we all need to be, members in practice, and even the generality of our members should be, abreast of. Another issue, which is not too current, but is still relevant because some of our members are yet to key in and, understand what it entails, is the Audit Regulation 2020. That regulation has been on for about 3 years now, and we still get issues, we get queries from our members at the Professional Practice Committee level relating to that regulation. So if you're an auditor in practice, in fact, if you are an ICAN member, if you're a chartered accountant, you need to take that Audit Regulation 2020 and study it, because even if you're not in practice today, nothing says that you cannot be in practice tomorrow. Moreover, most members of the public do not even know the difference between members in practice and just chartered accountants generally. So you may still need it to be able to talk to our people, your friends, your family members, and provide information that is very relevant to them. Then at the ICAN level, at our institute level, there are a whole lot of developments. The first one I would like to point out is the new regulation on practice attachment. Before now, what we've witnessed at the Professional Practice Committee level is that people, will train themselves at their pace, unsupervised by the institute. The institute may not even be aware. The institute may just be aware that they are members of ICAN, but when they began their training, will be unknown to the institute. When they concluded, it will be unknown to the institute, only for them now to approach the institute when they want to apply for practice license. That scenario has changed. It will no longer happen. As far back as 3-4 years ago, the Council of the Institute made a regulation which says that for you to apply for practice license of the Institute, for you to apply as a fresh practice license applicant, you need to have applied to the Institute for your training, meaning that, in essence, you cannot apply for graduation from the Institute without having applied for matriculation. So, right now, if you want to practice, you're interested in practicing as a member of ICAN, what you need to do is to first and foremost apply for your training to be monitored. Our practice attachment is automatic, that you have to apply with the Institute for 36 months and your training will be monitored. We have the processes to check where you're training, check the person training you, check even the quality of the work you're doing, to be able to assure ourselves that this person is fit and proper to hold the practice license of the institute. It's a key development because members are still not in tune with it. Some members still come up to apply for practice license without the institute having any record whatsoever about their practice attachment or practice training. So it's a key development that members need to be aware of. Another one is the Council of the Institute, especially in this presidential year. We call this year the year of ICAN's new and upward trajectory. We are fortunate to be blessed with a president that is very, very passionate about professional practice. He's exposed, he has seen it all, where he lives, where he has worked, and the experience is coming to bear not just for members in practice, but for all chartered accountants, because it's in our collective interest to ensure that members who hold themselves out as being in public practice are truly what the license they hold. So this presidential year, the Institute has set off its practice monitoring and review processes. Presently, it's a key requirement even for the renewal of existing practice licenses, not just for those applying afresh. If you want to renew your practice license, please know that it is automatic. It's the right of the Institute to monitor, to inspect, to review what you've been doing in the past, to be able to, to have that assurance that you're truly in practice and that you're not quack or that you're not a charlatan, even though an ICAN member. Okay, so it's a key development. We've had some concerns from members about those other things, which I know or I believe we may still touch as we go along in this program. Another key development relating to professional practice is the Council's approval for the list of approved members in practice to be hosted on the ICAN website on monthly basis. It has not happened before, but the Council has approved it. Every month at a specified date, the Secretariat of the Institute will put up for public view list of ICAN members in practice, their names, their firms where they are working, and their addresses, so that even members who are not in practice can also help us in checking those with false claims about being in practice. We've had instances where members who are fellows or who feel that they are old enough in the institute to have whatever they want, apply for the practice license of the institute. Meanwhile, our law says that you have to be in practice full-time. There is nothing like part-time practice in ICAN. So when that list is put up on the website and you see any member that is not in practice full-time, the name being there, being on that list, it is the expectation of the Council of the Institute that you will report. We have a channel through which we pick feedback from our members, okay? And once the Institute gets that report, we investigate it, we verify it, we auditors, and we bring a stop to those kind of practices and even go forward to sanction those defaulters, okay? And similarly, just recently, the Council of the Institute also approved for members to make annual returns to the Institute. What we've had in the past is members just practicing on their own without returning, making any return or any report to anybody, except when the Institute comes to visit or comes to inspect their practices. That is not going to continue. From January 2024, by the grace of God, even before that period, all the processes are already in place. All members in practice in ICAN will have to do their returns, annual returns to the Institute, so that the Institute will have the relevant data with which to plan, with which to monitor, with which to review, and with which to even relate with our regulators, like the Financial Reporting Council and other interested stakeholders of the Institute. So those are the few emerging issues which the Institute thinks it's right that we bring to the attention of all our members, whether in practice or not. to make communication easier. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, those are not few emerging issues. I hear lots of emerging issues, and they're quite relevant to all our members. So I can see a lot of members being here. Please get ready for your questions. We'll like to go on a break, and we'll be right back with our special guest here on emerging issues in the professional practice. So we'll be right back.
Tax from pay your tax online. That is the easiest way, to pay your tax.
Companies income tax, value added tax, tertiary education tax, pay with tax program, file returns when due, pay your tax correctly, and get your e-tax clearance. Pay your tax online.
My better people for Obodo Nigeria, I don't bring better information come give una. To pay your tax now, it don't dey easy like ABCD. With this new Ogbonge platform where the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) don't bring come, then they call them Tax Promax. With this one, now for your house or office, you go just dey pay your tax. And if you want pay your tax, make you log into www.taxpromax.firs.gov.ng. This message now the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) they bring am for now.
Pay your tax online.
Security is key to national development and growth. No nation can be truly economically successful without peace and stability, or when its security is threatened. This is why we must perform our civic obligation of duly paying our taxes so as to provide the needed resources for government to secure our lives and properties. When we pay our taxes, government is provided with the needed resources to equip our security agencies for a safer Nigeria. The money we pay as taxes is used to purchase equipment and hardware, invest in intelligence and other sophisticated technology, as well as cater for the welfare of all security personnel. A secure nation is a prosperous nation. Nigeria is safer when we pay our taxes. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
You're welcome on break. We welcome you back to ICAN on Air. And if you are just joining us on this program, we are on ICAN on Air. And today we are looking at emerging issues in professional practice. And the chairman of that committee, Professional Practice Monitoring Committee, in person of Mr. Jude Sonny Hegbo, MNI FCA, has been doing justice to the questions in the area of emerging issues in professional practice. Please send in your questions, we'll take them so that the chairman on seat will certainly and definitely respond to those questions. Afumi, I know you have your question for Mr. Jude.
I actually want to recognize the presence of some of our members. I see Akira Day from Manchester United, UK. Thank you for being here. Other members are here from Enugu, from Lagos, from Ibadan. Thank you so much for being here. As much as we don't have so much time for all of the emerging issues within that the Institute has brought on board, but of course we'll have to attend to some of these questions. But particularly from me, I would like to ask you, sir, ICAN recently actually signed a delegation agreement with FRCN to review practitioners. So my question is, can you explain to us what this agreement means for our members? And our members would also like to understand how the Institute how they intend to monitor its licensed professional firms in ensuring that the quality and the ethical services are delivered to clients and for the interest of the public trust. So if you can help us out here, sir.
Thank you very much, Fumi, for that loaded question. I touched on it briefly, while discussing the emerging issues. I touched on the delegation agreement, which our great institute signed with the Financial Reporting Council several weeks back. Okay, the essence of that delegation agreement is for the institute to act instead of the Financial Reporting Council. The Financial Reporting Council, which is now empowered by law to regulate not just chartered accountants, but all other relevant financial professionals, those that have input to make in financial statements, okay, has, in its wisdom, rightfully delegated the monitoring and supervision of all ICAN members in practice to ICAN. So what it means is that the Financial Reporting Council on its own will not come to check what ICAN members are doing, except there is any reason to doubt the quality of the services being provided by the Institute. Similarly, no other professional accountancy organization will come to check the work or review the work of an ICAN member in practice. It will not happen because the Financial Reporting Council, who has that statutory right, has delegated it to ICAN. And the essence is to ensure that charlatans, quacks, and all those other people that are not really in practice or legally in practice, but hold themselves out as being in practice, thereby deceiving the public, that they are chased out of that professional practice space. Okay, ICAN has the skill. ICAN, like I said earlier, ICAN formed the father of Financial Reporting Council. That is the Nigerian Accounting Standards Board. So we've always been known for quality. What gave rise to that delegation agreement is for the Financial Reporting Council, which we all know cannot, doesn't have the capacity to supervise all manner of firms practicing in Nigeria, to co-opt ICAN in that onerous and very important service to our nation. While Financial Reporting Council will now, decide on the areas to pay attention or to give priority. The key essence is to ensure that public interest entities whose activities will have very significant impact on the Nigerian economy are well monitored, are well regulated, and are well, they are well monitored to ensure that our economy is safe. That is the whole essence of the delegation agreement. It's like a partnership between the Financial Reporting Council and the Institute. I'm made to know that the Financial Reporting Council also has that kind of agreement with our sister professional body, but they too will check and review the activities, of their own members. ICAN will not have, ICAN will not go to check or monitor the activities of our sister professional body, except there is reason, for the Financial Reporting Council to suspect foul play, which they will now override any of the two professional accountancy organizations recognized by law in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that succinct response. What I did pick is that ICAN stands for quality, and that quality we all know at every point in time. As members often complain about the delays witnessed in the issuance of practice license, as well as in the renewal process. Can you explain to us why this appears to be the case? And what is the Institute doing about this? And do you have any advice for members to make the process more efficient or seamless as it could be?
Okay, so Tosi, I am very pleased to announce to you that we've gone past that stage. About 3 years ago, what used to happen is that members will apply for the renewal of their practice licenses manually. And from experience, because by the grace of God, I've had the privilege of serving in this committee for upwards of 10 years now, even before coming to the Council of the Institute, by the goodwill of our members. So what we've always witnessed up to about 3 years ago was, a situation where members who are not even qualified to apply for the renewal of their practice licenses do so. Once they do a mail, they push it forward to the Institute. They won't check whether they are financially up to date, which is a key requirement. In fact, requirement number one, you need to prove that you even belong to the Institute. You are, fulfilling your obligations to your Institute which is financial membership. The second one is the mandatory continuing professional development expectation. The Institute has an expectation from all members because our skills are not dormant. They are supposed, to be improved as we go along in line with the dynamics of the time. But you discover that some members who are MCPD deficient will still apply for practice license. Some others that are also not members of any district society, any ICAN district society, will apply for ICAN practice, for their practice licenses to be renewed. And once they do the application, they will send it to the Institute. The Secretariat will now sift through these applications and do responses to them, saying, sir or ma, this application cannot proceed for so and so reasons. But members will hardly listen to those follow-up mails. They will begin to raise alarm. They will begin to complain that I've applied for my practice license renewal for the past 2 years and it is still hanging. What is the ICAN Council doing? What is going on with our institute? This is not what it used to be, okay? And because of those complaints, the Institute, now to improve the system, like you asked in your question, automated the process. As I speak to you, any application for practice license renewal cannot come to ICAN unless you are financially up to date, unless your MCPD requirements have been met, unless you belong to a district society and we've received confirmation from your chairman that you truly belong to a district society and you are meeting your obligations at that district level and other requirements. Once those processes have been met, your application will sail through automatically. And what we've noticed is that it takes us between 2 to 3 weeks maximum to sort out other issues relating to checking further on those submissions made by members, or even the confirmations or approval by the district society. We know that we are still human beings and we run a human society. So we still try to do our own independent check, which can easily be confirmed by our members because we have members scattered all over Nigeria who we normally rely on to give us information independent of whatever we've received from district society chairmen. Okay, once we've done those checks and confirmed that those members are truly in practice and that they've met all the requirements, these days it takes less than 2 weeks. When we started about 3 years ago, we were hovering between 2 weeks and 3 weeks. But these days, it takes less than 2 weeks. And the mandate we have from the Governing Council for this presidential year is that our practice license renewal should not take more than 1 week. But depending on members, members being accessible for review, because practice monitoring or review is now a condition precedent for you to renew your practice license. So once you know that your license is about expiring 3 months to the expiration date, please apply to the Institute and the process will begin so that even before the expiration date, your practice license, the new or renewed practice license will be ready and waiting for you. Okay, so that is what we do presently, and that has reduced the complaints very significantly. As I speak to you, at the last council meeting, up to 74 licenses were pushed forward, okay? And the update I received from the Secretariat yesterday confirmed that we have additional 200 and something that are ready. So you can imagine just the last council meeting held 3 weeks ago or thereabout. Between that period and now, we've already processed 200 and something that are ready for the officers of the Institute to endorse so we can give them to members. So we've really mastered the process and the complaints have drastically reduced, okay, to ensure that the Institute is also, improving in its game to serve our members and serve them, effectively and efficiently.
Well done. Now we see ICAN is working. It's obvious that everything is intact. I mean, we're working, there's a trajectory as we have proposed here. So, sir, in very rare occasions, I mean, we always talk about some clients or some companies expressing their displeasure at the quality of service or sometimes unethical conduct of our members. So my first question to you is there any disciplinary process for hearing practitioners, and what's the process of whistleblowing, or say how can they report such bad behavior? Then the other one for me is, given that Nigeria's gray listing is being listed by the Financial Action Task Force, what do you think is the role of the institute in ensuring that members do not aid and abet illicit financial flows, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for combining those two questions because they are related. If we follow our disciplinary processes, okay, that will drastically, in fact, that will completely remove any risk of any of our members being listed or falling foul of the Special Control Unit on money laundering processes. The Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, by its Establishment Act, has well-defined, tested, and trusted disciplinary procedures. Okay? Because we know, like I said earlier, we are humans and we run a human organization, an organization, that is made up of human beings. We know that there could be reasons for members to, play below the expected standard. It is not the ICAN standard, but it's a possibility. So what the Act empowers the Institute to do is, once we receive, a complaint or a petition from anybody, the person could be a member, the person could be a company, the person could be a non-member, from anybody whatsoever, a complaint backed up by a sworn affidavit, automatically the process, the disciplinary process has started. That petition will be forwarded to an ICAN accountancy investigating panel. The role of that panel is to investigate the petition in all its ramifications. They will call the parties that are involved, listen to them, and take their submissions, consider them. Sometimes, if the matters are weighty enough, those matters will be pushed forward to the accountants' disciplinary tribunal. The Institute has a disciplinary tribunal which is ranked, as a high court. So any appeal from that disciplinary tribunal can only go to an appeal court, not to a high court. In Nigeria, it can only go to an appeal court. So when the investigating panel has finished its work and maybe recommended for additional work by the disciplinary tribunal, that matter will be taken up by the disciplinary tribunal, after which it makes out sanctions or discharges the member accordingly. I'll give you a very real case example. About 2 weeks ago, the Institute delisted a member, a formerly chartered accountant, from its register for life. It's not like blacklisting or suspension, complete delisting, and the person's name struck off the ICAN register. So until the person gets, a contrary verdict from a superior court, which is the appeal court, he is not a member of the Institute. During that same tribunal sitting, another member was suspended for 6 months. That member was suspended for 6 months. And these processes, were followed diligently by the Institute, because we do not joke with ethics. We do not joke with integrity. That is our watchword. That is that is what we sell. Integrity is what we sell to the public. Okay, so those 2 members were sanctioned, and that has been the case over the years. No matter your level in the Institute, you cannot be higher than ICAN, which is all of us put together. So that Institute, that process has been tested, and it's confirmed to be very, very effective. And that makes even the public, because I've had the good fortune of chairing one of the panels, you discover the level of trust members of the public place in the Institute. Once they have any issue with any ICAN member and they could not settle those issues at their level, they will confidently approach the institute. They will just follow the process and approach the institute, and that matter will be handled without the institute taking sides or being biased in any form, because we know that what we are protecting is our image, our core value of accuracy and integrity.
Very true.
So similarly, at the recently concluded council retreat, when this new presidential year began, we invited the head of the Special Control Unit on Money Laundering to come and address the council at our retreat. And it was a very, very beneficial one for our members, because it gave us an insight into the thinking of that agency of government. Presently, the country is grey-listed, which is not too good for our country, because it also affects the perception of investors, which is what we need in our country to grow our economy. Okay, so the partnership with SCUMO, what it will do is that the institute will now take it, has now taken it upon itself to ensure that all members in practice comply with the requirements of that special control unit on money laundering, to ensure that no member in practice who is an ICAN member is found wanting, either in abetting or aiding money laundering or any other nefarious activity, which are not normally traced to ICAN members.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, your members in practice are here, and they have lots of questions for you. But unfortunately, we have just 7 more minutes to go on the show, so we take them quickly. From Mr. Abel saying, he said the practice monitoring initiative was suspended before because of its financial burden on the institute. How has this issue been addressed? Just in a minute, sir.
Thank you very much. Chief Abel is a former deputy registrar of the institute, so he understands the institute in and out. It was suspended because of the huge financial implications, but the council, in its wisdom, has compared the cost of, they say that if you think that education is costly, try ignorance, try illiteracy. So that's the comparison the institute has made. The huge cost of running those practice monitoring and review versus the cost of damage to professional practice by members that are not reviewed. And the institute has decided, the council of the institute has decided to spend that money to ensure that the quality that ICAN is known for is sustained. So we are not looking at money now, we are not looking at cost. What we are looking at is quality. It will be costly, it's already costly, but the institute will bear it, and we are not going to transfer it to members, because the institute is a non-profit making organization. So it's going to be borne by the institute, and the quality that we want to see from all our members in practice will be delivered. That's all that matters to the Governing Council of ICAN. Thank you.
Interesting. Thank you so much, sir. So another question from Theophilus Dada. He says, what is the fate of members that had earlier gone through the 36 months or more training before this new rule without earlier applying to ICAN? Will they have to start all over again, sir?
No, God forbid. God forbid. We are human beings. We are not animals. Okay. So we presently have such instances, and though we are not encouraging people to keep bringing those applications, because we already have our cutoff line, because we are very serious with this, and we know it's in the best interest of our institute. But what we do at the professional practice committee level is to collate all those existing challenges and move them to the council with a request for waiver. Okay, but we already have our timeline, and we also examine those cases on their individual merit. So there's no blanket application for cases like this. We presently, even from Enugu here, we have people, instances where we even write people, we call people that are in UK to affirm or confirm whatever submission we've received from members, just to be sure that nobody is taking the institute for a ride. But we handle those cases on their individual merit, and I can assure you that anybody that proves his or her case beyond reasonable doubt will, have that request for waiver from the committee to the council. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another question from Ganil Alao, and he's saying that what is the position of ICAN on members that earlier applied and make payment for the mutual agreement between ICAN and CITN?
Okay, thank you very much. I want to thank our brother Ganil. Okay, so I wouldn't, because this request, as a committee, we've moved forward our report to the council, and I wouldn't want to kind of put the council on the hot spot, but we've made our recommendation to council. Fortunately, we now have a new communication process in the institute. Immediately after every council meeting, key decisions affecting all members of the institute, including those in practice, will be communicated to the members. So I just want Mr. Ganil to keep, stay tuned with the institute. Very soon he will get clarity on this matter. But we know that the CITN is a sister professional body of ICAN, also began in the council chambers of ICAN, just like the Financial Reporting Council. So we have no issues, and the council will take its decision when it meets, and will communicate to members accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response, sir. That is well taken. And lastly, ICAN is always open to ideas that would advance the growth of our members, the accountancy profession, and the Nigerian business environment at large. Sir, what is your suggestion on filling knowledge gaps to address emerging issues in professional practice?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. The institute has, its own processes to ensure that all members compulsorily fill knowledge gaps. We call it the mandatory continuing professional development program. Every chartered accountant is expected to attend a certain number of training program annually, okay? But beside that, for members in practice, we also have the small and medium practices help desk, which provides technical support to small and medium practitioners, because those of us in small and medium practices do not have the kind of support the Big Four have. So the institute, being aware of that development, has set up a small and medium practices help desk to provide that kind of technical support to ensure that the knowledge gap is bridged, is closed, as frequently as possible. Also, the institute is also doing seminars on all topical issues relating to members and their interest. I am aware that very soon there will be one from the IT committee of the institute on AI, that's the artificial intelligence and its implications for chartered accountants, how we can take full advantage. Even for the forthcoming 53rd Annual Accountants Conference, we also have such kind of relevant topics, that will upgrade the knowledge of members and keep them abreast of developments. The institute is looking at taking full advantage of, emerging issues in practice like data science, cloud computing, and all those kind of these things to improve the skills of members, to ensure that members can stay here in Nigeria and earn foreign exchange all over the globe. We're already skilled, and it's just to apply the knowledge that we already have and make it more relevant for members so they can convert it to foreign exchange and help in building our economy.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Obviously, 1 hour is not enough to talk about the emerging issues in the professional practice. I want to say thank you so much to Mr. Jude for coming here today. We appreciate you, and we say next time we'll definitely want to bring you on board, because we have a lot of questions from our audience and also from our bank of questions. But thank you very much, sir, and have a good evening, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Tosin.
Thank you, Mr. Jude. Thank you for coming on the show, sir. Quickly, our 53rd AAC is coming. Our members should be aware of the 53rd Annual Accountant Conference coming up in Abuja between October 9th and October 13th, 2023. The theme is Imperatives for Inclusive Development. And like we say, that is the largest gathering of chartered accountants in Nigeria. And if I say Africa, I would not be wrong. So please register now because the countdown for the AAC is ongoing. And that will be the show for today. We want to say thank you all for being part of the show today. Till we come your way next week with another guest. and with another topic. And on behalf of the editorial team, we say thank you so much. I remain Tosin Akimomi, saying thank you for watching and bye for now.
And I remain